Today we're going to take the first step towards learning how to read notes in music. The first thing we need to learn is about the musical alphabet. If you think back to elementary school, you probably remember learning the alphabet in your elementary school class, where it was written from A to Z. Your teacher may have even posted the alphabet above the whiteboard. Our musical alphabet is very different though. For starters, we only use the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. H through Z, we're not going to worry about anymore. You may also notice that our alphabet is now in a circle instead of being in a line. The cool part about that is now when we say our alphabet, we can go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and when we hit G, we're going to keep going back to A. So it's almost like a never-ending circle. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We can also, now that our alphabet's in a circle, go backwards. So we can start on G and go G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. We can also start in different spots in our alphabet because it's a circle. So let's start on D and go D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Or we can go backwards. How about we start on F? F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G. Very cool. Now we know how our musical alphabet works. Now it's time to put it onto our staff. Like we talked about before, our staff is made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces. And since we're a bass clef instrument, we have to make sure to include the bass clef at the beginning. If you learn the notes on a staff in elementary school, this is still going to be a little bit different because in elementary school you learned using the treble clef, and now that you're a bass clef band instrument, we have to learn the notes on the bass clef staff. So for starters, we're going to do the spaces. The first space is going to be A. The second space is going to be C. The third space is going to be E, and then the top space is going to be G. Another way that you can remember that is by thinking all cows eat grass. For the lines on a bass clef staff, we're going to start at the very bottom with G. This is probably a note you're going to want to remember because we'll always have the first line being G. From there, the second line is going to be B, the middle line is going to be D, the fourth line is going to be F, and then the top line is going to be A. If you think back to when I taught you the bass clef symbol, we had these 2 little dots right here next to the bass clef. These 2 dots remind us that our most important note in bass clef is this F note right here. In fact, for all the instruments except for tuba, which will be lower, this is the very first note we're going to learn, which is F. We also have our little saying to remember the lines in the bass clef staff. You can remember the notes by thinking good, boys, do, fine, always. Now that we put our lines and spaces together, you may notice that our musical alphabet that we talked about a little while ago, the one that's in a circle, suddenly appears on the screen. We have G starting at the bottom, then A is the space, then B is the next line, then C, then D, then E, and then our most important note F is right here on the 4th line, and then we have G. And then just like in our musical alphabet, after we get to G, the next letter up after G in our musical alphabet is back to A. We can also go reverse, just like we did on the circle alphabet. A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G.